Begin today at the Mishnah on Daf Mem Aleph. Sagt the Heilige Mishnah, Shor shenoga ches Adam. A shor that gores a person who mace and the person died. Mu'ed mishalem kaifer. If the shor was already a mu'ed, so then you have to pay the payment of kaifer, which we actually learned about in the previous Daf. That's a payment of kaifer. There's a machlokes whether you evaluate this payment by the person that died, or you evaluate the kaifer by the mazik, the one that owns this ox that damaged. So you have to pay this kaifer. And the tam, potter. But if the animal that gored and killed this person was a tam, so then, potter and a kaifer. You don't pay kaifer. Tam only pays chatzi nezek, but that's for a damage. For kaifer, which is when it killed someone, there's no payment of kaifer for this. However, v'zeh, in both cases, whether the animal was a tam or a mu'ed, chayav and miseh. The shor itself that Gordon killed is put to death. This is what's called a shor haniskal. A shor that kills a human being has to be put to death. And over here, it doesn't matter if it was a tam or a mu'ed. V'chein beben, v'chein bebas. The same halacha is regarding this shor that Gordon killed a ben or a bas, meaning even a child, a cotton. Not only if it killed a human being, a gadol, but the same applies even if it killed a ben or a bas. It says it in the lashon of the pasuk. Ben yigach, bas yigach. Now, Nagach Eved Yama, if the shor gored a Eved Kanani, or a Amma, which refers to also to a Shivcha Kananis, over here the halacha is different. Noisin, how much do you pay for this? Over here the regular din of paying kaifer doesn't apply, but you pay Noisin Shloishim Sloim. There's a set amount the Torah says that you pay 30 coins. Ben Shu Yafa Meya Mana, whether this Eved Kanani is worth 100 mana, Ben Shenu Yafa La Dinner Echad, or whether he was only valued by one dinner, the payment is always the same, Shloishim Slaim. So here, the Mishnah said that this halacha of this shor that Gordon killed someone applies whether the shor is a mu'ed or whether the shor is a tam. And either way, the halacha is that this shor has to be put to death right away. So if after, even when he's a tam, he killed a person once, so this shor has to be put to death, so how is it possible that this should happen 3 times, and now he's a mu'ed and he has to be put to death? So the Gemara is going to give a few answers to this. So Rabbi says, in the case of here is that they estimated what this shor did, and they saw that this shor already chased one person, a second person, a third person, trying to kill 3 people. Now those 3 people escaped and saved themselves. But because this shor already chased 3 people trying to kill themselves, and the owner was warned about this, so even though it didn't actually kill 3 people, it's considered to be a mu'ed for killing 3 people, and therefore the Mishnah says that's the case of the mu'ed that has to be put to death. So the Gemara asks on this, Ravashi says, no, that's not the case when a shor is going to be called a mu'ed. Umdene lav klumhu. The fact that it was evaluated that it tried to kill 3 people and the people escaped, that doesn't make it a mu'ed for killing 3 people, because the pilot didn't kill anyone, or killed only 1 person now, so it's still a tam for this. So Ella hacha b'mayaskina. What does it mean that it became a mu'ed for killing 3 people? Kagayin shesikin l'shleisha b'nei adam. What happened is this ox gored and severely injured 3 people, but those people didn't die yet, and therefore you couldn't put this shor to death. And then when it gored the 3rd person or the 4th person, depends on when it becomes a mu'ed, so then the other people that it killed, that it injured severely before, died. So now that all 3 people died, now the shor becomes a mu'ed. That's Rav Ashi's akim there.
Why can't you know simple that it was mazik 3 people, and the 4th person killed?
No, because b'pashtus, if it's mazik, it doesn't become a mu'ed for killing. We're talking about how does it become a mu'ed that it should be chayav the kaifer for killing. It's 2 different things. We saw already before many times, being a mu'ed for one thing doesn't make it a mu'ed for something else. If it was mazik 3 times, it doesn't become a mu'ed for misa. Yeah. We had before in the Gemara Kama problem. There's different degrees of how wild the animal is, and different teifanim, 100%. Another pshat the Gemara says that Rav Zvid says the case is kagoin shaharag shloisha behemis, that the animal, what had happened is it killed 3 animals. It didn't kill 3 people. It killed 3 animals, and then it becomes a mu'ed for killing. And therefore now, when it kills a person, it's called a mu'ud for killing a person as well. So it wasn't put to death before, because it only killed 3 behemoths. But the Gemara asks in this, mu'ud lebehema have a mu'ud la'adam. The fact that it's a mu'ud for a behemoth, does that mean that it becomes a mu'ud for killing people? To kill a person is something that's much more difficult. We had before in the Gemara a few times, a person has a mazel, and therefore being a mu'ud to kill behemoths does not make this shayr a mu'ud to kill people. So that can't be the case of how it's a mu'ud. Rav Shimi says, the case is that this shayr killed 3 goyim, and that therefore became a mu'ud to even kill a human being 3 times. And therefore now it's a mu'ud when it kills a yid. Now it's a mu'ud for killing this yid. So the Gemara asks on this as well. A mu'ud lo'evdi kechavim av a mu'ud liYisrael. Being a mu'ud to kill a guy, is it a mu'ud to kill a yid? You can't compare the two. Why not? The Mefarshim say, just like we say regarding a behemoth and a human being, that a behemoth doesn't have the mazel that a human being has, and therefore it's harder for a shar to kill a human being. Same thing also, a yid has more shmir even than a guy. The Eibusher protects a yid more than a guy. If the behemoth is able to kill a guy, doesn't make it a mu'ud to kill a yid. So that can't be what makes it a mu'ud either. Ella Omer Rab Shimon ben Lakish. This animal killed 3 people, 3 Yidden. But these 3 Yidden were treifa. Treifa is a person that's already has an illness, or he was attacked, and he's going to die within 12 months. So in such a case, the people that this shar killed are already people that are destined to die. So for that, you don't kill this. You don't have to put this shar to death. And that's how it became a mu'ud, and then it killed another person that's not a treifa. But on this as well, the Gemara asks, a mu'ud l'treifa, have a mu'ud l'shalem. If the shar gores and kills 3 people that are treifa, that are weaker, and it's able to kill them easier, does it become a mu'ud for killing a person that's healthy, that's fully healthy? So that can't be how it became a mu'ud either. Hello, Rav Papa. So therefore, Rav Papa says another pshat. That what happened was the kotal. This shayr gored and killed a person. Then it ran away into the swamp amongst other shvarim. We couldn't identify which one it is, and therefore the Bezdin couldn't kill it. And then again it happened. The kotal, it killed again, and then it ran away and it mingled amongst other shvarim, and Bezdin didn't get a chance to kill it. And this happened 3 times, and that's how it became a mu'ud. Therefore, of course it's supposed to be put to death the first time, but it ran away, and then it killed again and again, and the person got warned again and again, and it became a mu'ud. Rav Acha ber Ravika says there's another way how it's possible, how it becomes a mu'ud. That you had zaymimin, and then you were mazim the zaymimin of the zaymimin. What this means is, you had Adam that came and said Eidus in the Bezdin that your shar Gordon killed someone. And then the Adam came a second time and said Yeshua came and Gordon killed someone. But now those Adam that said that this testimony were found to be false Adam. They were mazim them. All the Adam came and said, Imono Yisam Pliny. So the owner now says, so I don't have to be careful with my share because it's found to be that the Adam were liars. And then those Adam that were mazim, the first witnesses, they were found to be liars. So now it turns out that the original Adam that came and said that his shar Gordon killed someone twice is true. And that happened on the same day when it did it the 3rd time. So that's how it's possible that on one day, this person, the owner, finds out all 3 things on the same day, finds out that the previous 2 times that the Adam said that Gordon killed were true, and now it happened again a 3rd time, so it becomes a mu'ud. This is if it happens the 3rd time, or according to other opinions, if it's the 4th time, depends when it becomes a mu'ud. But that's how it could happen all at the same time. But the Gemara says that this pshat doesn't work according to all opinions. Why? Because this would only work So this is something we've had before in the Masechta. This is according to Rabbi Yehuda's opinion. Rabbi Yehuda says that in order for a shar to become a mu'ud, it has to be on 3 separate days. Can't be all on one day. So what is the point that it has to be on 3 separate days? So the Gemara there said 2 opinions about this. One opinion is liyudet turabina. What does that mean? As long as the ox gored on 3 separate days, even though the owner was warned about this, all on one time. It happened in 3 separate times, but he was warned about it all at the same time, it becomes a mu'ud. So according to that opinion, Shapir, we could say the same thing over here. Because this owner was warned about this, he found out that his shayr is a mu'ud, all one at the same time. It happened in 3 different times, but now when the Zaymimin came, when he found out that those original witnesses that said that the Shar gored and killed are saying the truth, it happened all at the same time when it gored the 3rd time. So then we could say that it becomes a mu'ud. But if you go according to the opinion, that the warning of the owner of the shar, he has to be warned on 3 separate days to give him the chance. It can't happen all at one at the same time. So if so, over here, the owner of the shar could say, he could say to him, Loi havi yedinon. I didn't know that I should be careful with the shar because I'm finding out all now one at the same time that the original witnesses said the truth, and now that it becomes a mu'ud all in one day, in one second, that doesn't make it into a shar mu'ud, according to this opinion. So the Gemara answers, not the case over here is, Kagoyin da Amri, it's the Edom that come at the end, come and let us know that Kol Eim is the Kotel Ture, that every time this person's shar gored and killed someone, Gabei Havakoi. The owner was really there. He was standing there together with his ox. He knows that it gored and killed 3 different times on 3 different days. He was aware of this. So in such a case, even the opinion that says that you have to warn him on 3 separate days, nevertheless, over here it's good enough. Because the truth is, it gored and it killed, and this person, Adam, came on 3 separate days to let him know that this happened. And he was warned about this on 3 separate days. Those Adam were turned into Zaymimim. But now that we found out that they're really not Edom Zaymimin, so now it turns out that the truth is that he was warned on 3 separate days, and he was there, and he knows that this all happened. So therefore, it will become a shar mu'ud. A final pshat the Gemara here says how it's possible that this shar tam that killed and this shar tam itself has to be put to death right away. So how does it become a mu'ud? Ravinoma, 4th pshat I believe over here in the Gemara, b'makirin as ba'al shar, when we know who the owner of this shar is, but ve'en makirin as shar, and we don't know which shar it is that Gordon killed. And he got warned about this, and therefore we don't know which shar this is, and therefore it wasn't put to death. But the Gemara asks, if you don't know which shar this is, so then my have a little meva. So then what should the owner do? He's being warned that you have a shar that Gordon killed, but he doesn't know which shar it is. So you can't even guard it. You can't do anything about it. And says the Gemara, Mishum da Amri lei, because with the Edom that came and testified that you have a shar that killed someone, they said, you have amongst your cattle, you have one shar that is very wild and it can Gordon killed someone. So you have to be careful. You have to guard all the behemoths in your cattle to be sure that it shouldn't kill someone. So therefore, in such a case, this is considered to be a good warning. And if it happened 3 times, it becomes a shar mu'ud. But they couldn't put it to death in the beginning because they couldn't identify which shar it is. But then, so the case of here has to be that l'chatchila, the Edom saw which shar it was. And then later on, they discovered which shar it was, and therefore they could put it to death. But in between, they didn't know which one it was, but they warned them about it, and he had to be careful with the entire cattle. Those are the cases of the Mishnah.
That's the same thing by Bava Kama.
Yeah, similar concept, that it ran away and it mingled with others and they couldn't put it to death in between. Yeah. Then it said in the Mishnah, v'zeh chayav v'miseh. Whether it's the shayr that's a tam, whether it's a shayr mu'ud, the halacha is that it's a shayr niskal, you have to stone it to death. So here the Gemara brings a whole discussion about this. This is mamish. We had the exact same Gemara, almost word for word, in the Gemara in Kiddushin. Tana Rabbana, we learned in Abraisa. Mimashma shanema. From this, that the pasuk says regarding the shar that has to be put to death. Sakal yisakal ashar. You have to stone it to death. So any yedeish and avelahi, don't I now know that this animal that is put to death was not shechted properly, and you can't eat from any of its meat because it's an avela, it's a dead carcass without shechita. An avela asur b'achila, you're not allowed to eat it. Ma tamad loyma lo ya'achal es b'sarei. Why does the pasuk after this have to add, don't eat from its meat? Answers the Gemara, Magdalcha Kasa. What the pasuk here is saying is, She'im shachtoi la'acha shenigma dinai, that if it was not stoned to death, there was a psak din of the bezdin that it has to be put to death. But before they had a chance to stone it to death, someone went and shechted it a kosher shchita. Nevertheless, asa b'achila, it's already also to eat from it. In other words, what this pasuk is teaching is that the isser to eat from this shayr is not only after it was actually stoned to death, but just the gemar din that it has to be stoned to death makes it asa b'achila, and even if you shecht it will be asa. Says the Gemara, I know that it's also to eat because it says that you shouldn't eat from it. How do I know you're not allowed to have any benefit? No hana to sell it, to make money off of it from this animal, from this dead carcass. Talmud Loima, Pasuk says, Ubal Hasher Naki. After this it says, the owner of the shire is Naki, is clear. What does this mean? My mashma, how do you see that Bal Hasher Naki means that he can't have any hana from it? Shem Mezayim explained, like a person that says to his friend, Yatsa ish ploini naki min chasav. That person, he was wiped out, he was cleaned out from all of his possessions. So the term naki means when a person is cleared out from any ownership. So here as well, you could have no benefit from this at all. And that's what the story with the shred and iskal as well. You can't eat it, you can't have any hana from it at all. That's what the term naki means. The Gemara asks in this, how do you know that this is how we have to learn this? The lo ya'achal is besadai, that when it says you shouldn't eat from the meat, that it was shechted properly, and it's saying because there was already a gemar din, so therefore she'asa b'achila, so you're not allowed to eat it. Maybe I could tie it differently. We can say the case here is if it was shechted only after the gemar din, but you didn't yet stone it to death, it's not asa b'achila yet. Shari b'achila, you're allowed to eat it. Who? And v'hai lo yachal es b'sarai. What does it mean when it says lo yachal es b'sarai? So we asked, it's obvious that you can't eat it because it was already stoned to death. No, we could say as follows: lahechad sakli miskal. It was stoned already to death. But what does it mean lo yachal? It's not coming to say you're not allowed to eat it. It's coming to say dasaba no, that you're not allowed to have any benefit from it. The term lo yachal does not mean achila. The term lo yachal means that you're not allowed to have any benefit from it. Where do I see that lo yachal means not to have any benefit of it? This is how Rabavo touched. Anytime it says in the title, all these terms when it says not to eat, what does it mean? It includes both. It's saying that you're not allowed to eat, and it's also saying that you're not allowed to have any benefit at all. How do I know this? Unless the Torah specifies clearly, like it says by the Isser of eating from a nevela, there the Torah says, by the Isser of nevela, the Torah over there says that Rashi brings a little bit of the pasuk. So there the Torah clearly specifies, after it says that you shouldn't eat, that you can give it to a ger taishav, which is a guy that keeps Sheva Mitzvahs B'nai Noach, or you could sell it to a guy. There the Torah clearly specifies that you can have hana. From the fact that the Torah there clearly specifies that you can have hana, after it says that you can't eat lo yoichal, from this I see that usually lo yoichal means that you can't eat and you can't have hana either. But over here though, the Torah clearly specifies that you could have hana. So Bavo says this is the rule. Anytime the Torah uses the term not to eat, it means both. Not to eat and not to have hana either. So maybe over here, by the Shayra Niskal, when the Torah says lo ya'achal, true, I don't need the lo ya'achal to say that you can't eat it because it's already a dead carcass because you stoned it to death, but maybe it's coming to say lo ya'achal, that you can't have hana from it, like Rabbi Val said. So the Gemara answers, Amri, the Yeshiva student's answer to this question, that can't be the pshat of lo ya'achal. Because Hanimili, when did Rabbi Val say that the term achila includes both, not to eat and not to have hana? If you could learn out both from the pasuk, the issa to eat and the issa of hana, then lo yoichal, when it says lo yoichal, if you say that lo yoichal means both not to eat and not to have hana, then it includes both. Aval hochad is rachil misakol yisakol nafke, but here it's different. Over here, once it's stoned to death, we know that it's asa to eat. So isal kedaitoch. Hi lo yochal as lo yochal as besare that is isar hanahu. If this pasuk over here is just coming to say the isar hana, because the fact that it's asa to eat we know already, so why would it use this term of achila? Nichtav rachmana lo yahana. The Torah should say the lashon that you should not have hana from this. Right. In every other case, what Abavo says makes sense, because the Torah is coming to say not to eat and not to have hana. So it uses the term achila, which is the ikir hana, and includes every hana. But over here, it's only coming to say Isar Hana, and the Isar Achila we know already. So why didn't the Torah clearly use the term of Hana? Inami, or the Gemara says, another question that you could ask, if we would want to apply what Rabbi Vol says here, Lo Yeyachel, the Torah could just simply say, do not eat, and that would include also the Isar Hana, or only the Isar Hana. Es Besari Lamali. Why does it add the two words of Es Besara here? So the answer is, it's coming to say, the afagav, the ovde, ke'em basar, the shachte. that it's coming to say, like we said before, that even if it was not stoned to death, even if it was shechted properly, the way we eat meat, nevertheless, aser, it's going to be aser to eat. So therefore, we go back to the original pshat. We said that when it says lo ya'achol, it's coming to say that even though it was not stoned to death, it was just a gemar din, and it was shechted properly, still there's going to be a isser achila. But the Gemara still presses on and asks, maybe it is only aser once it was stoned to death. We said we have the extra words of espesade. Maskef lomar zutre. So Zutre asks, maybe we could say as follows. Maybe we should say, Han emili. When is the pasuk over here saying that it's going to be aser to eat it? Heiche de badak tzur v'shachat boy. If a person took a stone, the pasuk says you have to stone it to death. So maybe the person did two things at the same time. He stoned it to death, and he shechted it also at the same time. How's it possible to shecht and stone to death at the same time? So maybe the case over here is he took a stone and he sharpened it, and this stone became a kosher stone to do shechita with it, and the v'shachat boy, the of the ke'en skila. So then, when he's shechting it, because he's shechting it with a stone, so therefore it could also be considered to be like he stoned it to death. And it's in such a case where the Torah said that, you shechted it, but you also stoned it to death. Why? Because you're using the stone for the shechita. In such a case, it'll be also to eat it. But if it was just a gemar din, that it has to be stoned to death, but it was not stoned to death at all. Why? Because there was no stone used. You shechted it with a metal knife. So then, maybe in such a case, it should not be also to eat from this meat. So the point the Gemara is trying to say is maybe dafke, if you actually stoned it to death, it's aser. And why would it be also? What's the pasuk? What's the extra pasuk have to say? Because he stoned it to death in such a oifen that it's still a kosher shechita. Only then it's coming to say that it's aser to eat, but not if you actually shechted it with a metal knife. Maybe then it would still be mutter to eat. But the Gemara doesn't accept this distinction. The Gemara says, "Now, Omri," they said, "Otu saken ksive bayraisa." When it comes to shechita, does the Torah ever mention that you have to have a knife? A metal knife for shechita? You have to have a sharp utensil, whether it's metal, whether it's anything else, for the shechita. It doesn't make a difference what utensil you use. You will never find in the Torah any distinction. Matnan, it says in the Mishnah regarding shechita, hashechet b'magal yad, if you shecht and you use a sickle or b'tzur with a stone or b'kane with a reed, as long as it's sharp, shchitasik sheira. Either way, the shechita is kosher. So since we don't find in the Torah that it makes any distinction when it talks about shechita, what kind of material you're using, it doesn't make sense to say over here that the Torah is making a distinction whether it's mutter or aser to eat, what kind of material you're using for this shechita. So therefore that distinction is not a true distinction. And therefore we learn from here that it's aser to eat it even after the gemar din. Even if you never stoned it to death, there was a gemar din, and then you shechted it, it's going to be aser to eat. Okay, but now the Gemara comes back, though, based on what we learned before, it comes out that when the Torah says the lo ya'achal es b'sadai, it's coming to say that you can't eat it even if you shechted it properly. But you could also learn the isser hana from this. Because Rabbi Vo says, whenever the Torah says lo ya'achal, or in this case it says lo ya'achal es b'sadai, and we're learning from here the isser achila, that includes the isser hana as well. So says the Gemara, so now based on what we learned before, now that we could learn out both the Isser Achila and the Isser Ana from the term of La Yocheles B'Sadai, so Baal Hasher Naki Lamali. When the Torah says Baal Hasher Naki, what do we need this for? Before the Gemara wanted to say that from there we learn out that it's Asa Bahana. But now based on what Rabbi Vo said, we know that we learn out both Achila and Ana just from the term of La Yachel. So what is Baal Hasher Naki coming to teach? Answers the Gemara, Lahanas Ayre. It's coming to say that you're not allowed to derive any benefit even from the hide of this animal that you have to stone to death. Why do I need an extra pasuk for that? I would think to say, that the meat of this animal is also to derive any benefit. But maybe the hide of the animal, maybe this should be allowed to have an from it. And the hide is different. It's not like the flesh of the animal itself. Kamash Malon, Baal Asher Naki, that you're clean, meaning you can't have any anah even from the hide of the animal. In fact, the Gemara, according to those opinions, those Tanai, which the Gemara is going to quote soon, the mafkile lahai balashar naki ledrash achrin. They learn out from these words balashar naki something else. Kedaminu lemema lekamon, as we're going to have soon here. So those words of balashar naki are not extra to teach me that the hide of the animal is asabana. So from where do they know that you're not allowed to derive any benefit from the hide of this animal? Answers the Gemara, nafkalahu, they learn it out, mi es besare, from the extra word es. Es besare means not only the basar itself, but es hatafel besare, the es that's secondary, that's on the basar, which is the hide of the animal. Ma'iniu oire, this is the hide. In fact, the hide Tana, says the Gemara, es loy darish. The other Tana that learned it out from Balashar Naki, he doesn't dash in the word es. So we can't ask what he dashes from the word es, because whenever the Torah writes the word es, there's a machlokes whether we dash in the word es or we don't dash in the word es. And here the Gemara brings where's the source of this machlokes, whether we dash in the word es or not. Ketetanya, as we learned in the Braisa, the following discussion regarding the word es. Shimon am Saimi, Va'amrillah Nechemia am Saini, Hayadairish kol esen shebetayre. He dashed in every single es shebetayre that it's coming to add something. Then, when he came to Esavai Lekechatira, Pirish. Over here, he separated, he says, I can't dash an S. Why? Because what are you going to say? There's someone else that you have to fear, like the Eibishter himself? How could I dash an S to add anyone to the Eibishter himself? So the Talmidim came and asked him, Rebbe, kol esen shedarashta. So now you dashed all the Essen. But now you came over here to Esavai Lekechatira and you see that you can't darshan the S. So all the other Essen that you darshan, matele. Now it comes out that all these Essen that you darshan are not true. So you answered, just like I got reward for darshaning all of them, I'll get schar for now separating and now that it was proven to me that I can't darshan the S. Until Rabbi Akiva came and Vilimed and Rabbi Akiva taught Es Havai Lekechatira, you could darshan this S as well. It comes and it says that you have to have the fear and the reverence and the respect for Talmud Chacham, just like from the Eibishter himself. So you could darshan S. So here, this is the Braisa where you see there's a machlokes Tanoim whether you darshan every S in the Torah or not. This machlokes here, so it's explained in different ways. In Chassidus it explains the machlokes regarding Es Havai Lekechatira is. It's understood that there's an inyan of having yireh from a Talmud Chacham similar to the Eibishter himself. So what are they arguing about? Because es havai lekechatira, the word es means tafel, to be completely bottle. So here the machlokes was, could you say that there's a level of bittul and yireh for a Talmud Chacham on such a high level of yireh like the Eibishter himself? We're talking about a yireh ilah, very high level of yireh. So Shimon Amseini or Chemia Amseini held, even if there's the inyan of yireh of a Talmud Chacham, but not on the same level of es havai lekechatira, so that you can't darshan. Rabbi Akiva said, no, a real Talmud Chacham is so bottled to the Eibishter himself that he's not a Metzias B'chlal. So the same level of Yireh and Bittul you have from the Eibishter himself does apply even to a Talmud Chacham, and therefore you could darshan this S as well. Tani Rabbanan, now here the Gemara brings the other drasha that there are other opinions. What are you darshan from a Baal Asher Naki? Baal Asher Naki, what do these words come to say? Rabbi Eliezer says, Naki Mechatzi Kaifer. This pasuk here is talking about the Sher Tam. And the Sher Tam, like it said in our Mishnah, after it kills a human being, you have to put it to death, but the payment of half kaifer does not apply to a Sher Tam. And we learn out from here, Bala Sher Naki, that he's clean, that he doesn't have to pay this kaifer if it's a Sher Tam. So Rabbi Akiva asked on this, Amalei Rabbi Akiva, v'haloi hu atzmai ein mishtalam elami gufay. Any payment that you pay when a Sher Tam damages, or in this case killed someone, the payment, as we know by a Sher Tam, only comes from the body of the Sher itself that caused this damage. So if so, why do you need a special pasuk to say that the Sher Tam doesn't pay kaifer? Haviyu lebezdin v'yishalom loch. Bring the Sher to Bezdin and he'll pay from it. This Sher is being put to death. So you can't pay from the value of the body of this Sher, because the Sher has no value. It's going to be put to death and then you can't have any anah from it. So you don't need a special pasuk to teach this to me. Amalei Rabbi Eliezer, so Rabbi Eliezer says, Kach hani be'einecha? This is what you think in your eyes, that this is what I was talking about? Shedini bezeh shachayiv misa, that I was learning out this din from the pasuk in a case where this Sher has to be put to death? You're right. In a case where the Sher Tam has to be put to death, there's no way you could collect the payment from the body of the Sher Tam itself. Ein dini, however, the halacha that I'm coming to learn from this pasuk is only elo in a case where the Sher is not going to be put to death. And when is that? If there's only one aid that's saying that it killed a person, or there's no aidim at all that it killed someone, but the owner himself is coming and admitting that it killed someone. And so in such a case, the Sher is not going to be put to death. And in such a case, you could collect the kaifer from the body of the Sher itself. And that's why I need a special pasuk to say that you don't collect chatzi kaifer from the body of this animal. But the Gemara asks on this pshat of Rabbi Eliezer, al pi bailim? You want to say that it's the owner himself that was maida, and therefore the shayr is not going to be put to death. But on the other hand, it's coming to say that you don't collect the money. Maida b'knasu, but he's being maida in a knas. If we're talking about a chatzi kaifer, the payment by a tam is just a knas, as we learned already before. That the payment of chatzi nezek is a knas, but over here the Gemara is talking about kaifer actually. The Gemara here is asking the payment of kaifer is also only a knas. So if the rule always is if you made it in a knas, you should be potter. So how could you say that the case over here is that he's made? Rashi actually says that the Gemara's question is not only regarding when he's made, but what did the Gemara try to say here? That there's only one aid. There was another option, Rabbi Eliezer said. There's only one aid, so with one aid, you don't put the shirt to death. But based on the word of one aid, you would have to pay the kaifer. But why? Why would you have to pay the kaifer based on one aid? You don't have to pay with one aid. You always pay money to be mitzi money from someone. You have to have two aidim. So the Gemara says, Kasava, Rabbi Eliezer holds kufre kapara. The paying of the kaifer when your shirt killed someone is a kapara. It's an atonement. And therefore, with a kapara, you do pay even with one aid, and you do pay even if you yourself were made it. It's like a carbon chatas or a osham, that a person brings a carbon even if there's only one aid because he wants to have the kapara. So here as well, you would think that if it's a tam, you would have to pay the half a kaifer, even though it's not put to death because it's a kapara. That's what Rabbi Eliezer says. You need a special pasuk to say that you don't have to pay the half a kaifer. That's one brisa in this discussion between Rabbi Eliezer and Rabbi Kiva. The Gemara brings another version. Tanya Yidach, and another brisa we learned, Amalei Rabbi Eliezer said to Rabbi Kiva Rabbi Kiva asked him that it's obvious that you can't collect the kaifer from the body of the animal because the animal is being put to death. Akiva, kachani beinecha, this is what I am in your eyes. Shedini bezeh shechayev misa, that the drasha that I learned from this pasuk is in a case where you're putting this animal to death. Ein dini elo, when do I need the din that I learned from this pasuk? Elo b'miskaven larikes abehema. In a case where this animal intentionally wanted to kill another animal, but then v'harikes adam, but it ended up killing another human being. Or lemitzri, it intended to kill a mitzri, a guy, v'harek Yisrael, and it ended up killing a yid. L'nefalim, it intended to kill a nefel, a person that can't live, and v'harek ben kayama, it ended up killing a person that's viable, that could live. So in such a case, the animal itself is not put to death because it didn't intend to kill a yid, a viable human being. But on the other hand, there is still a payment of kaifer, even if it wasn't mechaven to kill the one that it wanted to kill. So it's in this case where the animal is not put to death that you would think that for a tam you pay half a kaifer. That's when he needs the drasha. That's another version of what Rabbi Eliezer answered to Rabbi Kiva. So we have two brises. What Rabbi Eliezer answered, what case is there that the animal itself is not put to death, and still there would be a svara that you pay the kaifer for the tam? So the Gemara asks on this, what the animal had in mind. You see from the behavior of the animal what it intended to do. It was trying to kill an animal, and another person tried to save that animal and ended up killing the person. You can see. Okay, now the Gemara says, Rabbi Eliezer argued against Rabbi Kiva in these two versions, so he argued with both of them against Rabbi Kiva. But which argument did he say first? Now, as the Gemara is going to explain over here, the argument that Rabbi Eliezer said to Rabbi Kiva in the first brayse wasn't such a strong argument, because over there, the Gemara asked on that. What was the first argument he said? That it's possible that he himself was maideh, or there was only a eid echad. In such a case, the animal itself is not put to death, but you would think that there's a payment of kaifer. That's not such a strong argument, because, like I said, the Gemara asks on that. The second argument, he says, in a case where it had kavanah to kill behemoth and then it killed a human being, that's a much stronger argument. Over there, Rabbi Eliezer is right. In such a case, the animal is not put to death, and still there would be a svara you pay kaifer. So which argument did he say against Rabbi Kiva first? Rav Kana mishmei de Rava Amar, Rav Kana said the name of Rava, Miskaven Amalei Bereisha. The case of Miskaven, which is the better argument in the second brayse, when it wanted to kill a behemoth, it ended up killing a human being. That's the argument that he said against Rabbi Kiva first. Rav Tuvaymi mishmei de Rava Amar, Hamis Amalei Bereisha. The argument of the first brayse, which is actually a weaker argument, that's the argument that he said first. When it was Hamis al pi eid echad, or al pi he admitted himself. That's the case where the animal is not put to death. That's okay. So the Gemara now explains what's the basis of the machlekes over here. Which argument he said first? Very interesting how the Gemara explains this. Rav Kahana mishmei de Rava Amar miskaven amalei bereisha, that he said the better argument first, and the reason is as follows: Moshel letzayit sheshayla dagim in ayam. The moshel for this is like a person that's catching fish. And what happened is, Mashkech Rav Revi, he finds first, he's able to catch first a large fish, so shakel. He catches his fish. Then Zutri, then he catches a small fish, shakel. He takes a small fish as well. So the same thing over here also, when the person has, Rabbi Eliezer that is. Rabbi Eliezer had an argument against Rabbi Akiva, so first he had a stronger argument, he said that first. And then afterwards he thought of another argument, even though the second argument he thought of isn't as good as the first argument, he said that afterwards. But the first thing is, he said the stronger argument first, like over here, when the person catches the big fish first. After Vyemi, the name of Rava said no. Hamis Amalei Bereshi, he said the argument of Hamis, which is not as strong as an argument. Mashal Etzayat Sheshelo Dogim and Ayam. So the mashal for this is a person that's catching fish. Mashkech Zutri. So first he caught a small fish, shakel. He takes the small fish, but then Mashkech Rav Revi. Then he finds a big fish. So if his net is not large enough to keep the small fish and the big fish in it, what is he going to do? Shadi Zutri. He throws out the small fish with shakel Rav Revi. And he catches the big fish. Over here as well, what happened was, he said the weaker argument first, then Rabbi Akiva refuted and asked on him, and then he said a better argument afterwards. So B'kitzur, the machlokes over here basically is whether the weaker argument that he said first, did he drop that argument or not? According to the first opinion, he didn't drop that argument. He said both arguments. He said a very good argument, then he said another argument, but he didn't have charata from either one. According to the second shot, the first argument that he said against Rabbi Akiva, that he dropped afterwards because he realized the question Rabbi Akiva had on him, and then he said a better argument.